Maine is one of the best places to be a teacher. We're going to interview educators to find out why. What's your name?
Joshua Schmidt.
And where do you teach?
I teach in China, Maine.
What grades do you teach?
Currently, I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but I've taught pretty much everything 5 through 12 over the course of my career.
What do you love about living in Maine?
Well, I moved recently from the Midwest, and for me, I drive and I see a lake on the way to work every day, and that's pretty awesome. And I've had family members who come and visit, and they say even just driving around is a totally different experience. So that's been a big plus for me.
What do you love about teaching in Maine?
I personally have always really liked the culture of the communities where I teach, that it really does feel like everybody is respected and well loved and supported. And I think that I've always taught in small schools. And so in small schools, you really do kind of have that family atmosphere. We're all in it together and on the same team.
Are you born and raised in Maine, or where did you grow up?
I grew up in South Dakota, but I was actually born in Iowa. So I have a little bit of time in Iowa, a little bit of time in South Dakota, and now in Maine.
What is one of your favorite memories in the classroom?
Ooh, my favorite memories in the classroom. My first year in Maine, I had a bunch of students who loved that I was a big basketball fan, but obviously not for the Celtics. And so they decided to make me jerseys out of cardboard. So one day I came into my classroom and there was like 4 or 5 jerseys that were pasted in the back of the room that were all made of cardboard and everything. And it was, for me, it was kind of that moment where I really felt like I was where I belonged. So.
What is some advice you would give to a first-year teacher?
First-year teacher. So actually, before I came here, that was something I worked with a lot. And I always said with first-year teachers that you got to just figure out what you want to be early. I always say, like, it's kind of like acting a little bit. Like you have a character that you're going to play right away. And so kind of figuring that out in the first half of the year is a big part of it. Like how do you want to handle discipline issues, but how do you want to have fun? Like where do you want to set up games? How do you want to incentivize? And all of that is kind of, you got to play the part. And especially, I teach middle school. So you kind of got to match the energy of the room a little bit. And so that's really, really fun.
Can you tell me something that you love about the community that you teach in?
I teach in China, and I think a lot about kind of the pandemic and just the whole, like as soon as it happened, it was everybody's in it together. And it wasn't a big question of like, how do we make this happen? Like what's my job going to be? It's how can I help out? And I do think that's very much a spirit of that community.
Are you a lakes or an ocean guy?
Ooh. Well, I never really had the ocean before I got here, but I'm definitely an ocean guy now. But I've also learned the ocean's very cold here, so I don't do any swimming in the ocean.
How do you spend summer vacation?
Outside as much as possible. I'm a big disc golf guy, so I try to bring my 3-year-old out with me whenever possible. And then, my wife's family's down on the lake, and so we just try to get there. Kayak, swim, whatever we can. Is before the snow hits, we just got to be outside as much as possible. I teach in Maine because I love my community. If you want to learn more about teaching and living in Maine, go to teach.liveworkmaine.com.